Okay, guys, sorry, my bad. What is going on with this phone? Hold on. Let me see if I can clean the camera part. I don't know why it's too bright. Too bright. Well, I guess I can do that. It's not as dark in here, I guess. Okay. Sorry about that. I had to talk to my brother. So I just went ahead and deleted the other live. My bad. But anyway, I was being held accountable this morning from my mom. Like, hey, I didn't see you this morning. Like, what happened? So just in case you guys don't know, I don't do lives on Friday mornings because I don't have to go to seminary. So that's why you won't see me early mornings on Fridays because there's no seminary. So today I did have my therapy though. I had my therapy at 9 o'clock. So I kind of slept in a little bit. Normally I wake up every single day like at 5:30 or a little bit earlier than that. It's just because of seminary. And so today I kind of slept in a little bit. I was having trouble getting up. I'm trying to gather my thoughts, and normally I pray before I do these videos. So I'm just going to say a quick one in my mind so that the Lord helps me say the right words, because it is kind of hard to do these videos and have all the proper words. So okay, so I already said it. So hopefully, I have the proper words. So anyway, I had gotten a few phone calls from her yesterday. I called her back, my therapist, and I ended up missing her call. I called her back. She didn't answer. We were just kind of missing each other. So I called her this morning, and she kind of let me know what was going to happen in the session. Normally that doesn't happen. Normally we just schedule it and I just show up and that's it. But anyway, this session was a little bit more interesting. I was quite nervous because her boss was going to be on the call, and I kind of felt very nervous about it because I felt like I have a hard time allowing people into my space with certain things in my life. And so I was kind of like, why is he going to come though? And she told me why, and I ended up telling her that it was fine, that he could sit in. She did make me feel super comfortable though. She told me I didn't have to if I didn't want to, but I went ahead and went with it. He did say hi and introduce himself, and for the most part he just kind of listened to the session. He really didn't towards the end he did talk a little bit to me, but it was mostly with her. It was mostly me doing a lot of the talking. When she would ask a question, she just allowed me to say everything I needed to. I think the past 2 sessions I really haven't cried as much. This one I did, and it was just basically when I talk about my dad, that's when all the waterworks come out. And so she's seen that I release, but I'm able to gather my thoughts again, and I'm able to continue with the session. The first time I started, it was like a lot. I think I put a lot out there, and it was probably a little bit too much for her the first time. And after that it was still crying. And then, now we're at a place where I don't cry as much, but here and there, whenever because I'm still going through the grieving process and stuff, and everybody grieves different. Some people just get over it. For me, it's a little bit harder. And so, yeah, I was able to talk about some of the things that we left off on the last session. About the exercise that well, the homework that she had given me homework about pondering and pondering on resentment and guilt. And so I was able to tell her that I was able to watch some videos because I felt intrigued about some of the things that we had talked about. And I feel like I needed more information. So I quickly got on YouTube and tried to see if I could find some information on what she had asked me to ponder on. And I wanted a little bit more clarity of what I thought, resentment and guilt was. And also we did an exercise on figuring out who are the main people. We did a exercise. If you watch Mother Live, you'll understand. But we did an exercise where we do 3 circles. So the first circle is kind of small. The second circle is a little bit bigger, like a medium size. And then the largest circle is like just, well, the biggest circle, right? And there could be other circles after that. But in the small circle in the middle would be my most, I guess, I'm not going to say important because everybody's important in their lives, right? But the people that I feel that they would come to my aid in case I needed something. They would drop whatever they had to do to come to my aid. And so I listed a few in there that I feel that I could count on. And so you label what are some of the things that you require to put those people in that inner circle. And so I felt that trust was one of them, acceptance, like they'd have to love me. They'd have to, so I did a little, well, I don't want to get up and get it, but it's like a little, several things that I feel that I require from people that I allow into that space. And then the second circle, which was the medium circle, I explain it different in the other video, probably more detailed, but I'm just trying to give you what I can right now. The second one would be like people I can trust, but also I can be myself, but not 100% myself, but I could rely on them if I needed help. People I can trust, people that support me. And so there are quite a few, and I was being very detailed this morning with it as well. And then the outer circle, the biggest circle would be like everyone else, right? People you come across, people that you come across here and there. They have maybe your same faith, people that, for me, that's what I put. Maybe Christ-centered, same faith, people that are good people. So we're talking about that exercise and stuff, and about like my other homework, which is pondering on guilt and resentment. And so a certain situation had made me feel like living with resentment is not the best, right? You can't, you probably could live with resentment for a long time, right? But it's not healthy. It's not good. And I'm in a different space and a different time in my life right now where I can learn to let a lot of those things go. And also I learned about guilt and about how we do not need to feel guilty about saying no to certain things or saying no to people, and that it should not it should not live in your brain, or you should not be carrying around that guilt for saying no to certain things. I need to be strong enough to be able to say no and not feel that guilt afterwards. And I need to be able to live my life without feeling any resentment, especially in the point in time in my life that I'm at right now. I don't feel like I need to be carrying those things, especially with certain people. I feel like I will be a happier person, you know, my emotions will be more stable if I can learn to say no, to remember who are the people that are most important in my life, and those people who are a part of my life, but not necessarily in my space. So they should not be allowed to interfere with my peace. And so we talked about that. We talked about the grieving part, about my dad and the loss of him. And I know a lot of people are probably tired of hearing this, but everybody grieves differently. And I think that we need to allow people to grieve the way they need to, and allow them to have the time that they need to do so. And we shouldn't feel rushed, and we shouldn't feel pressured, and we shouldn't feel like we're bad people, or we shouldn't feel like, oh, poor person, like feel pity towards them. It's just the way that they process certain things. And especially being like one of the main caregivers, it's hard. It's already hard enough not seeing that person when, like, let's say for me, like going to go visit my mom, right? Like I was used to seeing my mom and my dad together. I used to see the bed where he used to lay. I used to, I remember that I would come in and he would be smiling, or he would play with my hand, or he would play with my hair, or he would like kiss my head, or like just certain things. And when that person's no longer there and doing those things, and you walk into the same room where he used to be, it's just things where, like, if I had a problem, he was my go-to person when I would have a problem and I would cry, or like I was angry about something. He had the right words to say to me or guide me in a certain way that I understood. And so when that person is no longer there, it's difficult. It's difficult to navigate, I guess, through life. But I'm learning. And even though I'm an adult and I've been married for a long time and I've been able to make my own decisions and stuff like that, he was still a very big anchor in my life. He was very important in my life. He was my teacher. He was my protector. He was, the person I could talk to. And my mom is like that for me too, in a different way. It's just, the firmness of a father, the life lessons that they teach you are different from what a mom can teach you. And I love my mom, and I've always told her that it would have been probably harder if I would have lost her first. I can't imagine a life without my mom, but I'm just saying, like, this is hard. I am trying not to cry on here. Yeah, so we talked a little bit about that, and I'm glad that I'm able to do a little bit of crying, but still gather myself and be able to function, because before it was more like shove everything down, keep on walking, right? You got to keep functioning, you got to keep working. And so, like I was telling her in the therapy session, like there was a time where my dad passed away, and I wouldn't allow my husband to hug me, because I felt like if he hugged me, I wasn't going to be able to work. I wasn't going to be able to do the things for his funeral and do the things that I needed to do, instead of breaking down and crying. And so that was not a time for me to cry, because I didn't want my brother to feel like, obviously I can't take his pain away, but I didn't want him to hurt as much. So he was crying when I got there, and my dad had already passed, and I just basically gave him a kiss, and I told him that he could rest now and not to worry. And I quickly started to work with my mom. She was crying, but I quickly wanted to get to the things that needed to be done. I was not allowing myself to cry. And so I didn't grieve for a while. I did cry at the funeral when they had the open casket and the viewing. And that was hard for me to do that in front of people. But I quickly gathered myself after that and tried to shove everything down. And so it wasn't until I started working with my sister, my older sister, and I started working with her, and I started releasing some of that because it was easy. It was a daily basis. And she was such a support system to me at that time because I was able to open up to her and tell her, you know, how I was feeling and stuff. And so she really helped me out through the grieving process. She was one of the ones that I could talk to, I think, the most. Obviously, I could talk to my mom, and there were certain things I could talk to my brother, but since he's such a strong man, it's kind of hard sometimes for them to open up. It was easier to talk to my mom or to my sister at that time. And so releasing that with the sister from church, she's the therapist, it's very liberating to be able to open up like that and not feel judged in any way. Because sometimes I feel like you can feel judged by family members, like they want you to get over it, or church people who want you to get over it, or like people around you who think that, yeah, you know, like even online here, I'm sure people saw that and probably wanted me to get over it, right? But it's difficult. And so I'm still handling that in my own way. I think I'm getting better at it. That was another thing we talked about. We talked about how I'm feeling right now. If I feel like we've reached some of the goals with where I'm at right now, especially with my kids, what I'm leaving to my kids, what is a legacy that my dad left, and what I'm passing on. And, you know, I've learned also what I need to take away that I don't need to put into my life, and what I want and decide to carry, you know. And so I did mention to her at some point that I would hate to stop. I would hate to stop meeting with her because she's such a big help, and she's teaching me so many different strategies, or she's opening up my mind to think about different things that I probably wouldn't have thought on my own, you know, if it wasn't for her. She's a big help in my life right now, and she's super sweet, and she's just amazing. So we talked about that. I talked to her about certain things that have helped me, like, you know, the letter to my dad. That was a big one. That was a hard one for me to do. The letter to my strong self, the exercise of who are the most important people in my inner circle, like, you know, how do I categorize them and what do I expect from people? The fact that I need to remember where I'm at and to see and look around me, and that I'm safe, and that there's nothing going on around me. And those are some of the things that I've been able to pass on to my son and to my daughter, that we're okay, we're safe. Even though the noise and everything's going on around us, we're still safe, we're still okay. And we need to remember that. She's also taught me to live more presently. And so that's something that I wasn't doing for a little while. I was just like living in the constant past, trying to like think of everything he taught me, to remember not to forget about him. And I think that's one of the hardest things, is like, if I felt like if I lived more presently, I wasn't going to carry him with me. And that is definitely not the case. I think that we can live presently and still carry them with us. And so I'm learning to do that. And I'm learning to be me. And I don't want to say me again, because I don't want to be what I was before. I want to be a better version of myself, even though I'm older. And for a long time, I felt like I couldn't come back online because I felt like I didn't look like I used to. I wasn't as thin as I was. I didn't feel pretty. I didn't feel all these things. And now I can see myself, and I do see beauty. I do see that I'm strong. I see that I'm wiser. I feel like I feel like I'm putting way more important things out into the world than I was before, even though I felt like I was a pretty amazing person before. I'm not trying to sound like all conceited, right? But I'm just saying, I feel like I was a giver. I feel like I've helped a lot of people. I feel like a lot of people have helped me. I feel like I've been a very good person overall, but I feel like I'm going to be an even better person after I can, you know, get past this. And so she's just been such an amazing person in my life. And I'm so grateful for where I'm at right now. And it's crazy to say because, I mean, I wish I could have my dad, right? But the life lessons that I've learned has taught me to be the person I am now. And so I feel like I'm more compassionate, I'm stronger, I'm more persistent. I feel like I'm more vocal. I speak my mind, and I feel like I'm fearless. I'm more fearless. I feel like the life lessons that I've been taught since my dad passed have made me this way. And for a long time, I was always just worrying about what people thought and about seeking approval and, worrying about this and worrying about that and always just being at everybody's beck and call. And now it's more like, no, it's okay to say no. And it's okay to put what I want out there. And it doesn't matter what other people think. This is my truth. This is what my life is. This is my choice. I'm allowing people also to make their own choices. That's something else we talked about today, about how I feel that my family is doing, because I feel like for so long I've been trying to carry everybody's weight on me, and it was so much. And I'm a strong person for the most part, but I feel like I'm allowing people to make their own choices now, because it was always like me making choices for everybody, right? And so it becomes very overwhelming when you're having to carry everybody on your back. And it shows you how to be strong, but it also can be a lot. And so now I'm in a stage in my life where I'm holding my kids accountable to make their choices. I'm allowing them to do so, and it's not only what I want, it's what they want for their happiness as well. And I need to respect that. And I need to allow them to make their choices. Granted, some of them are not going to be their best choices, but that's the choice they made. And that's a choice, I'm still there to guide them, and I'm still there to be an anchor for them and just see them walk through it. But at the same time, I have to allow them to make their own choices. And so same thing goes for my husband. I've always had to make all the choices for him because of his health and because of the things that he's had to suffer. So I feel like me stepping back and allowing him to make his choices is better for me also. Because it's hard for when people want to play the blame game with you and feel like because of his choices, I'm to blame for everything that he does. So like, let's say he decides to drink a soda at work, right? And I don't know about it. If he gets sick, I get blamed for it. And that's not fair. It's not fair to put that on somebody, because I am my own person. I'm responsible for my own actions. He's responsible for his actions. He is accountable for his actions at all times. I can be a voice in his ear to tell him this is right and this is wrong. But at the end of the day, he is going to be the one accountable for his choices. Like, I'm accountable for my choices. My kids are going to be accountable for their choices. And so that was some of the things that we talked about today. How I felt about it, how I feel like where we're at right now. I feel like we're in a better place. I feel like they're still struggling to a certain degree. They're still asking me what they should do. And I'm just like, hey, figure it out. You decide. I'm trying to put it more on them to make those choices, because it is very hard already to try to run a whole entire household on your own while my husband is working, and like everybody wants an answer, and it's exhausting to always be the one to do all that. And so another thing that I meant, she did ask me how I feel like I can teach them how to make those kind of, how to make those choices. And so like for me, what's been helping me, since I don't have my dad anymore to do those things, because I feel like he was that person who was always telling me what to do. So I always sought his approval. And when he's not here, like I felt like a little bit lost. Like, now who am I going to talk to? Now who's going to guide me? Who's going to protect me? Like, I did feel that big weight. And so I feel like for me right now, what's been helping me is staying anchored in the gospel and coming to my Heavenly Father and Jesus Christ and praying and asking them for help and just constantly learning and constantly reading and I never stop learning. I'm constantly listening to something daily that will help me grow as a person. And I've always been very intrigued by self-help books and self-help, just things that I read. But overall, like, I think I've been like very consumed lately with just, like the BYU channel, the LDS conferences, different books that I buy and read, and just I'm constantly learning from different people, different faiths, and just overall different people I come across, like at church and stuff. I'm constantly growing and learning. And so I feel like I'm at a better space now. Like, I don't have to just rely on my dad anymore. I miss him and I wish he was here, but I feel like I'm at a point in my life right now that I can grab a hold of things. But I was lost for like a while, And so we talked about that. She gave her boss a little bit of room to talk to me, and if he wanted to ask me any questions, and he didn't feel like he wanted to. He did tell me that he appreciated listening, how much of a help the sister was for me, and that he was grateful to hear about, my bishop being such a help in my life, and I shared my thoughts on those things. And what else can I tell you? There was so much, but I do think it was a little bit quicker this time. I feel like I have her for the most part a little bit longer during the sessions. We were right on time today. We finished about 7 minutes earlier. What else? I do tell her that I try to see the good in people, and I never wish anything bad upon others, even though, they might have hurt me in the past or whatever. I never wish anything bad upon anybody. And I think that comes a lot from being a church member and learning the gospel and knowing, that we're supposed to show love and just, forgive others. And it's hard to do at times when people hurt us, but it is very doable. And so this session was amazing. She is a great person. I would hate to stop, my therapy with her, but I know at some point in time, I did share that at the beginning, I was kind of like, I'm not a very patient person. And so at the beginning, I was kind of like, ugh, like, why do we have to separate the sessions like on a weekly basis, right? I wanted my sessions to be faster because I don't have a lot of tolerance. I don't have a lot of patience. So I like things too. That's why I don't do good with series and I don't do good with novelas and stuff, because I like things to be quick, right? But I had to learn that it's not on my time. Like, it's not, we have to allow ourselves time to be able to process things. And so we were seeing each other like every week at first. And then when there was a time where she wanted to separate things, she wanted me to work on my sleeping pattern. She wanted us to separate it, like, instead of doing a weekly basis, we would do it in a week and a half. And I was like, ugh. So at the beginning, when I didn't have, I guess, the session, I felt like stuck because we missed the session. I felt stuck. Like, now what do I do with all this? I was preparing myself the day before. I was preparing myself to let everything out. And now that I have everything here, like, now what? Like, I didn't know what to do with it. So the only way I could release it was putting it out like this and allowing myself to feel what I needed to feel and voice what I needed to voice. And so when I was able to release that and share that with her, she was able to understand. I don't feel that way now. I feel like, yeah, I get prepared for things and yeah, I build up, but I just never know what our conversations are going to be about. So I really can't mentally prepare. The only thing I prepare is prepare myself. I get myself ready in the morning. I make sure my homework is done that she, tells me to do. And I come and I always pray before, and I always ask it to be a powerful session, something that will help me grow, something that will help me with whatever it is that I'm going through. And so I did share that with her and him, that I would hate for it to come to an end because she is such a support system. But I do know that it's going to come at some point in time, and I'm going to have to learn to do certain things, but I think she's given me a lot of tools that I can use in my life, that I can stay present. She's taught me to be more present, which is why I'm doing daily things like this now. I used to do them before all the time, and I wasn't able to do it for like 3 years. And now I'm back on, and I'm able to do these things daily, and I'm able to be more present and not live in my past anymore, and not feel fear that if I live in my present, that I have to forget about my dad, and I have to forget about the things that happened in my past. I can see them, I can enjoy them, but I need to live presently. And so she's giving me a lot of tools that are just so important in my life. And those tools will also help my kids, and they will help me raise them better and teach them that, we're here for a short time, and I want them to learn everything they can from me, but also learn to make their own choices. And I think that that is something that my dad tried to do at the very end of his life, but I wasn't having it because I didn't want to let go of him. But he was trying to prepare me because he was tired and stuff. And, I just didn't want to come to terms with it. But I wouldn't change any of my life prior. Everything that I went through, even the bad, I wouldn't change any of it because I feel like I've grown so much. So, and I'm able to do this more and still, gather myself together and be like, hey, you're okay. So, I'm releasing some of that, but still holding myself, with my head up high and loving what I'm seeing. And so I'm super grateful for the bishop that I have, who helped me realize that I had something to work on. And he's just such an amazing person. He's been such a light in my life. And I prayed for a specific help, and the Lord delivered, and I'm super grateful because the Lord has been teaching me to stay still at times. And I sometimes don't understand why. Sometimes I can't move, or I can't walk, or like I'm in bed for like 10 days and I can't, because he's wanting me to just slow down and just take it easy and reflect and learn. And, he's teaching me in his own way. And I'm just so grateful for it. Granted, I've had some pretty bad days where I get really sick and I can't think properly. And I wonder why all these things are going on. But I know they're going to be for our good. I know we're being tested, and it's just making me stronger. And that is what I try to teach my kids with everything that's going on around, and all the media and everything that's being thrown at us. We can still find peace, and we can still anchor ourselves in the Lord and in the gospel. And if we have those things, I think we will be fine. If I can say today that I'm fine with everything that I've been through, and it's been quite a bit, I think that you should take my word for it. I think we're going to be fine. And yeah, there's a lot of things going on around, but we got to learn to shut the noise and just, remember that we're safe. Look around you. Look where you're sitting, where you're at right now, and just know that you're safe. Everything's okay, And so, yeah, I think this session was awesome. I hope it's not coming to an end soon, but I'm super grateful for it. Even if it is, I'm grateful for it. And I just love her so much. She's amazing. And I did tell her that I'm a big advocate now for going to your bishop and talking to him and letting him know how you're doing. And the Lord will pray about it before and go in there and say what you got to say. And I'm sure you'll find a lot of love and a lot of mercy, and you will feel better afterwards. And I'm sure he'll guide you in the best way he knows how. And just pray to the Lord that you are are able to accept whatever he wants for your life, and learn to kind of let go a little bit. That was something that I had a hard time. I did say that in my session. I feel like I was allowing the Lord to take care of a lot of things in my life, but I didn't want him to take care of this, which was my most sacred, like my husband or my kids. Like, I take care of those, and you can take care of all of this, but I wasn't allowing him to want to take care of that, because this is the most sacred and this is what I can take care of. But now it's different. Now I feel like I only have a certain amount of control. I'm human. I only have mortal powers. I don't have a higher power. They have a higher power. And so I know that nobody else would know my kids or my husband or the people that I hold dearest more than they will. Because I know that when I was in trouble, or when I had certain things happen to me, they were the only ones I could go to, because my parents weren't there. My brothers and sisters weren't there to help me in those situations. I could only go to them for help. And so I remember that, and I remember that he always helped me through those things. And so I want to instill that in my children. I want them to know that if mom or dad are not here anymore, where you can go, where is it that you can look for help. And so that is what I am trying to do. Hold on, guys. I need to blow my nose because I am just a mess. And give me 1 second. I will be right back. Hold on. I'm trying to breathe. Still trying to get over my sickness here. And crying doesn't help, and it's hard to breathe. So I'm sorry. Sorry. It's hard to breathe. And I'm glad I didn't do my makeup, because then that would be everywhere. That would be a mess. So I have to have a lot of tissue when I do my therapy, because I usually am crying. Usually. These past couple of times I haven't been crying, but today it was kind of like, yeah, it's just usually when I like talk about my dad that I just start crying. It's usually when I cry. And I had started therapy for other reasons, but in the process was a lot of grief that came out. And so, yeah. But what else can I tell you? I need to think about what else. I think I've mentioned pretty much everything already about what we talked about. I don't ever try to share like super personal things on here. I just try to share things that I know will help others, that are just more open in general, except the whole grieving thing about my dad, because you guys saw his journey on here and you guys were helping me, and you guys saw a lot of his sickness on here, and you guys went through that whole journey. You saw me go through hospitals and dialysis and through so many things. And, so you guys were very present in that. And that's the reason why I share it. But other things that are a little bit more personal, I don't feel like I'm ready to share, or I don't know if I will ever be ready to share any of those things. But I think other people's experiences do help others, feel like if they were able to get through it, you would be able to get through it. And I think for the most part, like for me as a church member, I've learned a lot from like different BYU talks, general conference talks, the Ensign College. A lot of these professors or a lot of these people who talk were leaders in the church. Sometimes they share very personal things, and I think that it helps others grow and understand certain things. And I've always been one to learn from other people's experiences. I love to listen to people. I love to read. I've always been able to understand more that way, than like given orders. I feel like I'm a little bit more rebellious in that sense. I feel like I like to do my own thing. I feel like I'm a very creative person, and I like to, I don't take very I know this is going to sound bad, and I hate it when I say it, because sometimes I say it at church and when I do my testimony. And I don't want people to think like I'm a very rebellious person, but I guess my dad always said like I would be more of a leader than a follower. And there's nothing wrong with being a follower, because sometimes you have to follow, like what they say in Troy, the movie Troy. They say sometimes you have to be a follower instead of. Sometimes you have to learn to follow in order to lead one day. And so I understand that. I was a follower once upon a time. I think I was a follower when my dad was teaching me when I was a young kid. You know, you're following your parents, lead, right? So I was a follower, and I still think I'm a follower because I'm a follower in the church, right? But for the most part, I've always had my own ideas. I like to break outside of the box. I like to be different. My brother's always telling me that I'm so different. And he one time he even sent me like this duck that was really weird and like walked so like a weird way and just acted different than the rest of the ducks. And it made me laugh, right? He was kind of being a little bit mean, but I laughed about it because I've always been a very different person. You know, I homeschool my kids. For that part, people always like try to criticize, or like they try to think like, why would you not just send your kid to public school? Well, because I didn't want my kids to be. I was raised in like going to public school and stuff, but I wanted something different for my kids. I didn't appreciate them being bullied. I didn't appreciate certain things that they were not teaching my daughter how to read. And so I wanted to take over. I felt like I could do a better job than the school system. Nobody's going to love your kid more than you are. And nobody else is going to know your kid more than you do. And I learned that from seeing my dad sick. I learned that nobody was going to take care of my dad better. I mean, yes, the doctors do have a profession and they have a certain expertise in certain things and they go to school for that. But they're not seeing your parent 24/7 lying in a bed and how he's responding to things. And so I was able to see that, there's going to be nobody better to take care of that person than the person who's constantly with that person. And so, yeah, that was a little rant for you. But yeah, so I know that I'm a very different person and I don't want to fit in any box. I don't want to be like everybody else. I am who I am, and the Lord chooses people for a certain reason and for certain tasks. And we need to remember that we are all daughters and sons of a loving Heavenly Father. We're all daughters and sons of a God who is merciful and has a ton of grace. And granted, we make a lot of mistakes and sometimes we feel like we're not worthy of all that, but we are. They love us and they don't want anything but the best for us. If your mom and your dad would do anything for you because they love you, imagine your Heavenly Father, what he would do for you, and what your Savior, if he was willing to die on the cross and to go through everything he went through for you, then just imagine, right? And so I think when you learn a little bit more about the gospel and just about Christ and about and having the experiences that I've had as a person, being able to see the things that he's moved in my life to be able to provide for my family, because he's provided in so many ways and so many things, and I just didn't see a way. I didn't see a way on how we were going to make it. He made a way, and I could see before my eyes how that was possible. He was able to show his hand, and I was able to see certain miracles in my life, my dad being one of those. He answered my prayer. He answered our prayer. So I think that when you live with that kind of a testimony, I think you're able to get through anything. And I was just really happy to hear how they felt, or how they viewed me when listening to me. They both kept saying how they felt that I was very strong with everything that I've gone through. Granted, he's only been in this one session, but I'm grateful to hear from so many people, bishops included, and how they feel. One of them told me that he felt like I was one of the pioneers, right? And the thing that was tormenting me the most was the what ifs, and the what ifs were definitely killing me. I feel like I've learned from that since then. I think I don't worry I worry like everybody else, right, about the what ifs, because you hear things in the news and everything, but I don't live there. I don't live there like I used to. I feel like I allow the Lord to step in, and I remember to think presently, and I'm safe right now, and I am here in my home, and the world might be tumbling around us, but I have a clear testimony of that we're being watched over, and that the Lord is going to take care of us, and he will step in with however he needs to, and that our Heavenly Father will protect those who love and serve him. And granted, the circumstances that happened recently with the whole Charlie Kirk thing, that he stood for Christ and he was out there trying to help and teach people and share love and share his thoughts, and that happened to him. I don't think that was in vain, though. I think we, as church members, have somebody like that to look up to. I think Joseph Smith is one of our old prophets, right? And he was the one that helped restore the gospel. I think that we can look up to him and also see what happened in his life, and how that he was treated, and how he was persecuted, and how all those people before us were persecuted. And I feel like this just fuels it and reminds us of it, and that the pioneers before us did not give up, and they continued their journey, and they continued going. And that is the reason why we're here today, and we're able to continue and now teach our children and teach the people that we come across in life. And I think that, if we continue to do that, one day we will meet our Maker, and our Heavenly Father and our Savior Jesus Christ will be happy to know that we did our best, and that we loved people that we came across, and that we forgave others like they forgive us. And I think that if we just try our best, I think that's all they ask from us. We're only human. And like I was telling my son the other day, Papa, you're just one person. You can't change the world. But I just do remember this, that we're always taught at church that with small and simple things, we can make a big dent. We can help others. We can lift others. We can help them and lead them to higher ground. And I think that if we see each other as brothers and sisters, and as brothers in Christ, and, just show love and just try our best to be good examples, I think we'll all be okay. I think everybody's gonna stand up for what they know is right. And I know that a lot of people have been. I did not appreciate seeing some of the videos that were surfacing online about the shooting with Charlie Kirk. The actual the whole gunshot, the complete video of it. I didn't think that was appropriate to be put out there. I think that should have been turned into proper authorities. But everybody wants to know exactly everything that happened by detail, and it is what it is. But I think that we are stepping on very, very scary times, and we need to get a hold of ourselves, and we need to learn to respect privacy, learn to treat people with respect, even if we do not agree with everything that they do or say. And the Lord is just wanting us to love others and to be good people. And I think that if we can do those things and stand up for what we know is right, I think we'll be okay. I don't think that we will tip over. I think we all come together, and for a common cause, especially when things go bad in America. But that's a totally different story. But we did touch on that on the therapy, so that's why I'm kind of sharing. I didn't share everything that I shared here, but I did let them know how my son took that, my daughter took that news, and how they feel about the world, and how I was able to use some of my therapy the things that I've learned, some of the tools from the therapy that have been able to be passed on to them so that they don't feel overwhelmed with what's going on and the school shootings and all the things that they're seeing around. Because they do feel scared about those things. We didn't really grow up with hearing about those things. Now everything is like online. You can find just about anything online. And so, yeah, this therapy session was good. It was short. It was a little bit shorter, but it was powerful. And I think it was very insightful. I think that he gathered the information he needed, and she was able to, once again, teach me and help me and give me some homework. I think homework is important. Sometimes it's kind of like, oh, one more thing to do. But I think it keeps us accountable, and I think it's teaching me, and I will be able to look back at it because I get to write it in my journal, and I get to write down the things that I learned and the date, and I'm able to reflect on that later. And that's something that I do encourage you all to do. That's something that helped my kids out a lot. We did some gratitude journals. I know a lot of people don't like journaling, but I think for me, art has always been amazing. So I always keep a lot of sketchbooks. I do a lot of these drawings and word art in my stuff. And I always try to put really powerful things like love yourself. Like I do a lot of word art, but like things that, I don't know, for some reason I've always been a person like, see, I did this one that says be brave. Like I put it in this sketchbook. I have the other sketchbook over there that I'm doing with therapy, but I have the gratitude part in here that I started doing with my kids. And I was able to view and see what they are thinking and what they are grateful for. Granted, a lot of them were like headphones and music and like things that teenagers are usually grateful for. And then I ended up having an idea to ask them who they are grateful for. So then we ended up doing stuff like this, like, so, who you are grateful for and like what they do and stuff like that for your life. And so that has definitely helped us. So we've done a lot of journaling lately. We also did goals. We did goals like this, like what are some of the goals that we have, right? Or we wanted to. We stopped doing this, but we were doing it very frequently for a while. We would just kind of draw around like things this reminds me of when my mom used to draw flowers when I would sit by her at her desk while she was a secretary for my dad. They had a pest control business, and she would always draw little flowers when she was on the phone. And so I think I picked that up from her. And I make little things like this, like God will provide for all. And these are things that I did way prior. I'm always just writing stuff about God and about just things that I feel like will bring me joy. Like this one says, God created you to be great, be patient. And I don't know why I did this, but I put my hand on there and I wrote that on top. I'm constantly doing stuff like that. I don't know why. It's just instilled in me. And so this one, it says rise together, and it says eternally. I'm not the best artist, and I know I've been kind of told, but it doesn't matter. It's what makes me happy, and it brings me joy. So yeah. Apparently I was very proud about Texas. So I do a lot of things that bring me joy, like this one, God trusts me. So yeah, I do a lot of art like that, things that bring me joy. And so that's what I've been doing a lot lately. Honestly, she asked me what I do for myself the other day. I told her I allowed myself to be hugged. And that one's a big one because I normally don't allow myself to be hugged. I go around hugging people all the time. People will see me at church hugging people. But I, myself, when I feel vulnerable or like when I feel hurt or when I feel like I'm like struggling with something, I don't allow myself to be hugged. And so lately I've learned to be hugged. I'm allowing people to hug me. And it feels really great to feel hugged, but it's not something I really grew up with. I learned to be tough. I learned to walk it off. I learned to keep moving, right? That's what I learned. But I know sometimes in order to keep moving and in order to keep working, sometimes you just need a little hug or you just need to cry. And so I'm learning to do that. I'm a tough cookie. Granted, I've had some really great hugs from a lot of people in my life. You can ask around. I've had some really great hugs. My husband gives me really great hugs. I've had many people in my life that have given me really amazing hugs, though, that have been important in my life at some point in time. But anyway, allow yourself to be hugged. Remember to love others. Try your best to not live with resentment. Forgive others. Do not live with guilt. Try to tell guilt to stop whenever it's trying to invade your space. My homework, though, was to write a letter to perfection, like if it was a person. Not perfection, sorry, protection. To write a letter to protection and treat it like a real person and just write and write and write and not correct anything. Try to write it in pen so that I don't try to just write. And eventually I will read it to her and we'll go over whatever I wrote. And so, yeah, I'm just grateful for the opportunity to share this with you guys and share what I've learned, and hopefully it helps somebody. I don't know if it does because people don't really give a lot of feedback, but I'm sure people are watching and I hope it helps in some way or somehow. If not, well, it helped me to vent it out. But yeah, that's why I make these videos, try to help others so you don't have to sit there and do the hard work. Pon atención. Pay attention. Pon atención. Así decía mi dad. Pon atención. Oigan. So, remember, be a good person. Treat others with respect. Allow people to have their own opinions about things. You know, try your best to learn more about Christ. Open yourself up to listen to guidance from him and to learn to see his hand in things. I think you'll be okay. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I think I've talked a lot. I don't even know how long this video is. Probably an hour. I don't know. But thanks for watching, and I will talk to you guys soon. Sorry, I just dropped some stuff. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye, guys.